My name is Emily Fell, and I'm the Eastern Great Lakes Watershed Coordinator for the New State Department of Environmental Conservation's Great Lakes Program. A little bit of background, I studied natural resource management at the SUNY College of Environmental Science and Forestry. For joining the Great Lakes Program with DEC in 2014, I worked for the Nature Conservancy as an ecological restoration technician, and also worked for Nature's Classroom as an environmental educator. And I'll turn it over to my colleague, Caitlin.
My name is Caitlin Barheit, and I also work within the Great Lakes program with Emily. I am a biologist. A little bit before I started with the Great Lakes program in DEC, I worked on the St. Lawrence River here in Clayton. I worked with the Thousand Islands Biological Station for quite a few years. Then I transitioned over to a master's program. I'm not local to the area, but I've spent the last 7 to 8 years in the St. Lawrence River and did a little work downstate in New York with DEC prior, and I do not want to go anywhere else at this point. So I'm here to stay on the river and contribute whatever I can to the Great Lakes program. But my background is fisheries, so water just kind of came naturally to me. And our presentation, I'll go over a little bit of our agenda. We have 3 main topics today, including we will go over our Great Lakes program mission and our Great Lakes Action Agenda review. And then we will go into a little bit about our sub-basin work group and the benefits and the survey that we have. And then our last bullet point here is going to be the main portion of our talk today. Is our collaborative opportunities with DEC and our regional partners within the area. So,
thanks, Caitlin. And for this section, we'll be talking about the DEC Great Lakes Program mission and the Great Lakes Action Agenda review. But as an icebreaker, I thought we could all think about and share our favorite place within the Great Lakes Basin.
Just one?
Just a moment, and when you feel ready to share, please raise your hand and share, your name and your favorite place and why that is your favorite place.
Look at the first one. What's the first one?
Yes, Don.
Yeah, Emily, hard question because like these people said, they're just one. Yeah, between the river and the lake, and oh my gosh, I see in your area, you got the Niagara Falls and the river and everything. Holy cow. I guess probably most recent, the one that's had the most impact with me just recently is seeing that picture right there. It looks very similar to Southwick Beach State Park. I don't think it is.
It's probably right near it.
It's right, yeah.
Just here, yeah.
And that has played a big role in the last year or two for me because my wife has been recovering from a very severe stroke and having to learn how to walk and talk and eat and everything. And she's also undergoing severe cancer treatments and surgeries and so. But that beach has been very healing for her. I've taken her out there in her wheelchair, and then as she got better with her walker, and then as she got better with her cane. And a couple of weeks ago we were there and she was walking with no aid, and I didn't help her. And she walked right there and she loved it. And this past fall, it was extra special because we sat there. We were just lucky to see the fall migration of the monarch butterflies going south to Mexico, coming from Ontario and going to Mexico. And we just sat right there on the beach and watched them go and go and go. And it was very healing for her. And so, yeah, one of the many, many places.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that connection. That's beautiful. Nature is such a powerful healer. Did anybody have any other favorite places they'd like to?
Well,
Yes.
I'll start. The 4 of us are from the Henderson Harbor area, which is one of many of our favorite places. I think I can't speak for the rest of them, but my husband and his sister and her husband, they have long history in Henderson Harbor. I kind of came along a little bit later, but it's such a beautiful protected harbor, and yet it's so large, and we sail there. And we can kayak. Audrey and I kayaked quite a bit last year. We kayaked until our arms fell off. And it's so nicely protected, but you can be out in open water and really get some good sailing in, some good swimming, fishing. There's people fishing there, even now, today, probably. Right? Yeah. And it's just a stunning place.
That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing.
And people
information.
have deep roots there.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's very true.
Once they're there, they want to stay there.
That's right, yeah, yeah.
How about anyone in this area of the room?
Well,
Yes.
if I must, considering the whole Great Lakes, there's same problems as everybody else. There's way too many nice places. But my own personal one would be Shimon Bay, because I grew up in Watertown. I've been in this area my whole life, and we had a cottage on Shimon Bay, which passed to myself and my wife, and now it's in our kids' hands. So I was there summers when I was young, and weekends when I was working elsewhere if I could get there. For the last 7 years, we have finally moved there, lived there, but not our cottages in a separate place. But that's where my memories of growing up are. And I know it's kind of a backwater. St. Lawrence people call it kind of a backwater, but it's my favorite.
Yeah, that's such a beautiful area too. Thank you so much for sharing. So I really wanted to get that sense of place, have everyone thinking about all these beautiful, wonderful places and their connection to them. My favorite place, as many of you guessed, this is just near Southwick Beach at Lakeview Wildlife Management Area, and has just such wonderful memories for me growing up. I used to canoe there. I used to swim there as a kid. And then I got to work within the Eastern Lake Ontario dunes and wetlands as an ecological restoration technician with the Nature Conservancy. We enjoyed many lunches on the beach on our lunch breaks, and couldn't have asked for a better lunch spot while I was there. But really inspiring places that make me feel such love and passion for the work that I get to do within DEC's Great Lakes program to protect these places that are so special to me and so many other people, and have found such a wonderful connection and healing and beauty in these places. So we'll talk more about how our program works to help protect these places.
So I'm going to give you a little overview of our mission, our program's mission. It states to protect, restore, and conserve and enhance the chemical, physical, and biological integrity of waters and associated natural resources within the Great Lakes Basin for sustainable use and enjoyment by the people of New York. So within this New York State Great Lakes lands and waters, we include, of course, Lake Erie, Niagara River, Lake Ontario, and St. Lawrence River within just New York State. And this system of the whole Great Lakes system contains 21% of the world's fresh water and is home to 250 different species of fish, and is a true national treasure, as some of you shared already. In this map here, we show our New York State Great Lakes Basin. And this is the counties that we include within the basin. And I also want to note that we also have the tribal nation territories visible in this map. And here's our QR code here that you can use with your phone to access the DEC Great Lakes Watershed program website. So here you can sign up for our listserv to receive funding, news, and event information through our DEC Delivers. And this website includes resources to current reports, assessments, maps, and so much more. So if you feel so inclined, you can snap a picture or just follow the QR code. And next, I'm going to describe a little bit about our ecosystem-based management, which is a system that approaches to strive in the balance of needs of people, nature, and the economy through science-based decision-making. And this is a place-based place-based approach that considers natural and human made systems and their relationships, considering ecological, social, and economic concerns, promotes sustainability for use of resources, protecting ecological services, functions, and processes. And this requires our ongoing collaboration of many stakeholders and agencies that use adaptive management, changing to fit the situation, using the latest science and social sciences, which we will touch on a little bit later with our collaborative efforts as well.
When I think about ecosystem-based management, John Muir's quote, "When one tugs at a single thing in nature, he finds it attached to the rest of the world," really helps us think why that approach is applied here. And it also is called for under New York's Ocean and Great Lakes Ecosystem Conservation Act that was passed in 2006, Article 14 of the Environmental Conservation Law. So within the New York Great Lakes Action Agenda, we have identified 6 goals and 115 actions related to these goals. And I'll briefly go through these and some examples of how we address them. Under our first goal, which is to reduce or eliminate releases of persistent toxic substances, we are looking to eliminate sources of legacy contaminants such as mercury and polychlorinated biphenyls that, as you know, contribute to some of our fish consumption advisories. And we are also addressing contaminants of emerging concern that include things like microplastics and polyfluoroalkyl substances, or PFAS, and working to identify and eliminate those sources. Under goal 2, which is to control sediment, nutrient, and pathogen loadings, we are working to reduce loadings from sources like wastewater treatment plants or septic systems, as well as agricultural runoff, and to address some of the impairments that those can cause in terms of harmful algal blooms and other nuisance conditions, such as excess bacteria loadings at beaches. Under our goal 3, which is to prevent and control invasive species, we encourage working with the Partnerships for Regional Invasive Species Management. Here we have the St. Lawrence Eastern Lake Ontario Regional Partnership for Invasive Species Management. That is a wonderful partner on all things invasive species. And we also have actions that relate to sharing your observations of invasive species through IMAP Invasives, which we'll touch on a little bit later, as well as promoting best practices. And many of these can be found from NYIS.info if you're interested. Under goal 4, which is to conserve and restore native fish and wildlife and their habitats, we are seeking to enhance habitats such as wetlands and headwater streams to ensure that species are more resilient under changing climate conditions and have more diverse and connected habitats. Under goal 5, to enhance community resilience and ecosystem integrity, we are encouraging nature-based approaches to riparian and shoreline management, consistent with the New York State Community Risk and Resiliency Act and the Adaptation and Resilience Strategies of the Climate Leadership Community Protection Act. And goal 6, under revitalizing local communities through sustainable management, we are addressing the sustainability of our drinking water resources by promoting conservation, land use and development, encouraging renewable energy that is guided by science, and promoting recreational access, especially for underserved communities. Under our Great Lakes Action Agenda, we have these cross-cutting priorities which can be applied to all of our goals. locations near you, and sign up to show your park some love. And it's a great way to show just how many people care about and love these places. And I don't think we saved it. The
This
version.
lineup.
That's okay.
That's okay. So we'll wrap up here with our plug for our DEC delivers. This is a way you can sign up for news and more delivered to your inbox. So you can go to this QR code here and type in your email address in the box, and then you click submit, and you'll be asked to confirm your email, choose your delivery preferences, how frequently they deliver emails to you, if you only want to get a few or you're only interested in certain things. You can check the boxes. You can get emails updated immediately. You can do it daily. It's kind of like you can choose what your frequency is. So they let you choose all those options on there, and there's a lot of good information that we discussed earlier in the presentation too. So if you can't find a specific link, I think this is a good way to find any information, but also here we have our general email as well if you want to reach out with any questions or if you think of something later. But we want to end our talk with letting you think or even answer, how do you plan to collaborate with your sub-basin in 2025? Or we can take any other questions as well.
Yes, Scott.
A couple of quick questions. One, the DEC always has a big presence at the New York State Fair in Syracuse. Will you folks be there this year for part of the presentation?
Possibly, yes. I missed the Goose Bay Reclamation Corps annual picnic because I was tabling at the state fair last year. But yeah, we sometimes they have like the outdoor kiosk that they'll invite various programs to present at, and then we kind of become greeters, if you will, and answer questions about where to find things and such. So it's a good kind of opportunity to be a friendly face of DEC and share our program information, and you know, depending on how popular it is and how soon we sign up, you know, we'll likely be at the state fair this year. Yes.
Good, yeah. And
Otherwise, other programs will definitely be there.
Yeah. The other question is hypothetical situation. A multi-billionaire is in here tonight and listens to your presentation and says, Kayla and Emily, I'm really impressed with what you guys are doing. I'd like to support your work and give each of you $1 billion. So what would you do with that?
Well, we talked about so many, you know, various organizations that would all gladly accept those wonderful donations. I don't think DEC can accept that. We have ethical requirements. We have ethical requirements, but certainly if there are ways they can support the various partners in their endeavors we can't recommend one over the other, but you know, there's definitely many wonderful organizations that this billionaire could contribute to support this work, and would surely go a long way. Because I once heard our Division of Water directors say that a lot of our water problems are money problems. So having those funds to address those water problems would certainly be helpful. Why, do you know someone?
I wish I did. Because yeah, money is always, you know, whatever endeavor you're in, money is always going to be one of the major considerations. And if you've got a good source of money, you know, because I can imagine the two of you going home at the end of the day and saying, gee, you know, I wish I could do this, or I wish I could do that.
Yeah.
And
it definitely makes me think of some of the work from Robin Wall Kimmerer. Such an inspiring, you know, story about thinking what we can give back. You know, lots of times in terms of, you know, sustainability, some of the management efforts, we're thinking about what we can take, but really there's lots of ways we can give back, you know, planting trees, doing science, other ways, building relationships with billionaires who like to give back as well. So yeah, it's definitely a great kind of thought process, what to think in terms of what we can give back. Yes.
So if people have more just general questions for DEC, what is the best way to contact? Is it this email or is there a good phone number?
I would say the public participation specialist could help with more general questions. Of course, if they come to us, we'll direct them to the right program as well. We all try to work together and answer questions as best we can. So if we can't immediately find the answer on a website, that's out there, we can certainly point in the direction of the program that would have the best and most current answer to some of those questions.
And I think if they were to like Google and get a general number, I sit right next to our admin phone answer, and she's great. She directs the calls to whoever, she listens to the question and then directs the calls to each of us. So I can always hear what she has coming in, and she's great at directing our questions. So a general number may not get you the first person to answer your question, but she will direct it. So.
Yes.
The town of Henderson, you probably are aware, has been trying to put in a sewer system. And in attending some of the town meetings, questions have come up about what kind of scientific data is available to show what the trends have been over the years for water quality, and then once something is implemented to see whether there's an improvement.
Yeah.
A lot of other communities in the area have been putting in sewer systems. When I was looking at the DEC website, I found the water sampling programs, but no data that was derived from that. And I also was surprised that it didn't look like there was water sampling on Lake Ontario. It looked like it was the smaller bodies of water, inland lakes, Finger Lakes and so forth. Is that true? Is there data out there that shows what the water quality has been like over the past 20 years, for instance?
I think the state of the Great Lakes is a good source for what's going on with the open lake, and there's partners like EPA and others that contribute to that annual or biannual report. We have the Cooperative Science and Monitoring Initiative that does more lake-wide data collection. They look at water quality and other habitats and species kind of indicators as well. So that's a good source of information for that open lake data. We do through our rotating intensive basin studies program by Division of Water. They do routine sampling of all of the watersheds throughout the state. We have the DEC water body inventory and priority water bodies list that gets published roughly every 2 years, and they recently did share the 2022 update, so that would have information about shorelines and embayments and the tributaries and such as well. So that would be a good source to look at. But yeah, I think the Division of Water monitoring portal that you might be thinking of just shows those sampling in the different basins and the tributaries. But there is other sources that will tell you some of the things going on in Lake Ontario, and we can follow up and share more information from Division of Water if you're interested.
Some of the kinds of arguments that come up are that why are you bothering to put in a sewer system until you put diapers on the cows? They're claiming that the agricultural runoff is contributing worse than home sewer systems and septic systems. So there's been a lot of pushback, and unfortunately it's stalled at the moment, again, for lack of money.
Sure, and costs are going up and things like that too. And feel free to reach out. We can get some more information about that information, and some of the different sources contributing to lake conditions to see where those are coming from. I think they have an engineering report for Henderson that might provide some of that background too. That's available from the town. So that could be a good source of information as well. Are there other questions? Yes.
this might be more of a John Farrell question, but, you know, Clayton's always been a big fishing destination. With all the publications ranking the areas like super great for fishing on the river and the lake, have you guys noticed any new pressures on the fisheries as a result of that? Or is there concern from that?
It is a concern. I don't know if you're local and you attend any of the black bass meetings, but there's been a few. I'm not involved in fisheries anymore. I did work for John for quite some time, but that would be a great question for them. I know there are concerns about pressure, but I think at their last meeting, and I don't really want to put any one solution to it, but I think they would be changing the regulations if they were super concerned about it. So I know they do have frequent black bass meetings and things like that to talk about, because you're right, like there is a lot of publication of like this area in general, and the tournaments are only getting larger. So yeah, and I know there were regulations that changed for tournaments in general. So but I think they're taking in account of public concern and trying to give what they're seeing in the nets and their data too as well, because I don't know if they're specifically aligned, so.
Right.
Yeah, but it's a great question and concern, and it's only gonna get more, right?
Yes.
Was wondering if you ever had any contact or collaboration or have been aboard the following 3 vessels that do survey work on Lake Ontario and fish studies and chemical studies and water quality studies and so on. And that is the EPA vessel called the Lake Guardian, which covers the other lakes too, besides just Lake Ontario, and the Kehoe in Oswego. And then the Canadians have the Limnos that has been here for ages in Lake Ontario.
I should say.
Yeah, Ministry of the Environment for Limnos. Have you ever been on board those?
I spent a week on board the RV research vessel, the Lake Guardian, when we were doing CSMI work in 2018. And if you're not familiar with the CSMI, Cooperative Science and Monitoring Initiative, this is an effort where EPA, Environment and Climate Change Canada, DPC, USGS, United States Geological Survey, other partners, they rotate every 5 years to a different Great Lake. So the last year on Lake Ontario was 2023. I did not take part in 2023, unfortunately. But in 2018, the previous year they were here, I was able to spend a week aboard the research vessel, and it was a very memorable experience, I can say. And they use, this rosette that can collect water samples at different lake levels, all the way down to the bottom, all the way up to the surface. And it looks at different nutrient levels. It looks at the hypolimiting layer where the photosynthesis is occurring on the surface, and other key water quality indicators. And they also collect phytoplankton, zooplankton, and fish data on board. And we do mysis samples. This is a little ecologically important shrimp that's native to the Great Lakes. So those happen at night. So you're on this 12-hour shift from 4 a.m. to 4 p.m. or 4 p.m. to 4 a.m. And just every time you stop at a station, you're up and you do the sampling you got to do. They collect all the samples in the lab, and the lab analysis occurs. But it's a really neat experience. They had great food and wonderful kitchen staff and maintenance staff aboard there. And just the researchers are all, very, very bright, and it was a wonderful opportunity to learn from them. And thank you for bringing that up so I could share that really cool experience. They do have opportunities where the public can tour. And also I'll mention for teachers and educators, they do, my colleague at Sea Grant does a shipboard science week with teachers and educators. So if you're a teacher or educator and you see that come out, it's kind of like a lottery system. Well, it's not just lottery, it's like whoever has the best response and is going to get the most out of it too. So you put in an application, and of the best applications, they kind of have a lottery of who gets to go. And I think it's maybe 10 teachers every 5 years on each lake. It can be any teacher from any Great Lakes state. So very competitive to get one of those spots on the Lake Guardian. But I do have some teacher and educator friends who have been able to do it. And it was just such a wonderful kind of career-changing experience for them. And they became very passionate educators about Great Lakes literacy and stewardship after that experience. So
Yeah, I'm glad you had that opportunity. And the Lake Guardian has been right here in Clayton more than once, and even some local people, local educators that have sailed on board her. And maybe you could reach out to your boss and get your boss to subsidize a trip on the Limnos. Because the Limnos is
Sure.
equivalent to the Lake Guardian. And don't forget the Seth Green and Cape Vincent.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I've been on some of the smaller
Yeah.
boats, haven't had the opportunity to go on the bigger ones, but I've been out with our fisheries crew and they do, smaller sets of sampling with little smaller gear, like mini gear, and less technologically advanced gear, like unlike the carousels, but they go out on Galoo Island and they do a lot of important work, and they go and they take the water quality in the middle of the lake. So there is some of that data, but I haven't had a chance to go on those bigger boats. I'm always stuck on the little ones.
I'm glad you had that opportunity.
in 2028.
Yeah. Next
When
time
we're
it
back on Lake
comes around.
Ontario.
Yeah, I'd love to.
Well, I think we've gone a bit over the hour or so that we've had. We're happy to hang out for a little bit and answer kind of any one-on-one questions you might have, but we'll go ahead and wrap up the presentation portion. We appreciate everyone. Thanks again to all of the partners who shared so much for us to share with you all, and for skipping happy hour to join us tonight. Thank you so much. And happy